From conflict to cooperation and from adversaries to allies, Japan's relations with the U.S. have come a long way over the years. Michiyo Ishida walks us through some of the key milestones.
In 1951, Japan and the U.S. signed the Treaty of Peace in San Francisco, formally marking the end of World War II. Both sides also inked the landmark U.S.-Japan Security Treaty for Peace of Reconciliation. The 10-year renewable agreement let the U.S. maintain military bases there after Japan regained sovereignty, accommodating its pacifist constitution. And a revision in 1960 said the U.S. would come to Japan's defense in an attack. This early pact dovetailed with the Yoshida Doctrine, a post-war strategy that saw Japan focus on rebuilding its economy while relying on the U.S. for its security needs. The United States, meanwhile, was keen on using the alliance to bolster its strategic presence in East Asia amid a divided Korean peninsula and a Cold War climate. In 1967, Japan established its 3 non-nuclear principles, stating it would not possess, manufacture, nor introduce nuclear weapons. The move came amid fears that alleged nuclear arms on U.S. bases on Japanese soil might expose the country to attacks. Since then, Tokyo has been relying on the U.S. nuclear umbrella to deter potential aggressors. This refers to a guarantee by a nuclear-armed state to defend a non-nuclear ally. But ties between both nations were put to the test during the protectionist movement in the 1970s and 1980s, when trade frictions emerged. By the 1980s, Japan had become the world's second largest economy, largely due to its car exports. The United States, meantime, was struggling after 2 oil crises and the effects of the Vietnam War in the 1970s. As the Japanese grew wealthier, Americans blamed them for the loss of American jobs, especially in the auto and textile industries. But fears of Japan surpassing the U.S. faded subsequently after it was pressured into bringing up the value of the yen. Japan's asset price bubble also collapsed in the late 80s, leading to the so-called lost decades. By the late 1990s, relations between the U.S. and Japan transitioned, yet again in the face of a rising and more assertive China, as well as a nuclear-armed North Korea. And Japan and the U.S. grew closer at the turn of the century, stepping up military cooperation. In 2014, then-President Barack Obama took a side for the first time on the highly controversial Senkaku Diaoyu dispute ahead of his Asia tour, saying the islands are covered under the U.S.-Japan Security Treaty, and Washington would oppose any attempt to challenge Tokyo. He praised then Prime Minister Shinzo Abe for his efforts to strengthen Japan's defense forces. Since then, both countries have continued to deepen their collaboration in areas such as security and trade.